Hello everyone, and welcome to my Capstone seminar. My name is Joseph Heston and I go by Seth. My presentation is titled Sound Vessels, and it integrates these years of expressive arts therapy studies as well as this past work experience in the practicum year, and additionally the listening and expressing practice that I've undertaken in this presentation and the listening field that we have all entered. First, I'd like to introduce myself. This autoethnography research project has been an amazing way to explore myself, work, and therapy. As a person born a male and of Scottish and Sicilian descent, U.S. citizen, I hold a number of privileged identities in the therapy space. To my clients, I hope to be a safe masculine person for their vulnerable trauma work. To friends and people in my life, I hope to be an inspiring artist, listener, and expressive human that lives with integrity and a rebellious empathy. I am a queer person, a joyful person, and I live my authentic self through this work and life. This thesis has three main components: my practical bases as well as those of my practicum sites program and model, my autoethnography process and sound journal synthesis, as well as the client case examples I have been able to share. First, I'd like to invite everyone to take a moment to ground, feel the connection of your feet with the earth. Take a few deep breaths, filling your lungs fully and emptying them fully. Feel the solidness of your connection to the ground or the chair or seat, and feel the sensation of your breath flowing in and out. Feel the temperature of the room around you, to the sounds you can hear. Imagine your connection to the earth. Feel where that connection begins in your body and runs down deep into the earth. Through the sound of my voice and other sounds you'll hear in this presentation, we'll explore the nature of this last year of trauma-informed therapy work in a domestic violence space. Be aware and take care of yourself through this presentation. Thank you for being here. So, first a little bit about SBCS, my practicum site. SBCS was formerly called South Bay Community Services and was originally a drop-in center for teens about 50 years ago. Over these decades, it's evolved into an almost 500-person nonprofit with services ranging from child's mental health to youth intervention, as well as my clinical departments of family violence support services and general counseling. One important duty of clinicians is calling our clients from off the wait list they might have been on for a few months, inviting them to services. And clients are referred to services mostly through police-reported incidents, where SBCS's mobile crisis response team might be on scene to meet with domestic violence survivors after incidents. This response team serves all of Chula Vista County. The site model also highly prioritizes trauma-focused CBT, motivational interviewing, and provides domestic violence resources and trainings to trainees. I find it important to describe the complex interaction between my site, myself, and this thesis project through the year of therapy work. There's been a lot of resistance, tension, and growing pains as I try to practice in the ways that I know and I need to, and that clients voice preference toward. My supervisor is much more practiced in cognitive behavioral therapy and didn't always make space or validate expressive arts and narrative work, at least at the beginning. The corporate feel of the clinic drained me, as well as the fluorescent lights, and clients would not always attend sessions. So I had this fluctuation between very intense trauma work and clients not showing up. I had to terminate services with many throughout the year, spend many hours with a no-show and the urge to shift my focus. Still, this work has felt like a powerful year of building safety, trust, and communication, intention with all the different people who have experienced family violence, and really being present with them through these different situations, contexts, these ways of being that we're navigating together. Laura Beer's 2017 book, Trauma-Informed Music Therapy, does provide one framework for trauma-informed expressive art therapy. In this framework, there are 4 stages, 4 processes that may be co-occurring, but not necessarily, maybe in this order, but don't have to be. And this is a lot of the work that I did with clients throughout this year, so it really resonated, which includes building safety, oftentimes through breath work, exploration of life context, boundaries, preferences, concerns, and what safety looks like for each client. Remembrance and mourning is the next process, which invites clients to present their narratives around emotion, sensation, trauma history, as well as family and interpersonal dynamics. A lot of these things that have changed suddenly or are in processes of changing as they attend sessions. Reconnection and empowerment is the next process where clients are invited to reflect on their growth, their change, new identities, visions for the future, and how their relationships may be shifting. And goodbyes are an essential part of closing the therapy sessions, of which there are 12 only in my program. 12 weeks of therapy, and here we celebrate the client's journal using artistic portfolios to provide references to the journey of the sessions. What has that art journal started to look like over the course of therapy, and those materials that I keep to present or reflect back if they're not physical copies. Some more theoretical foundations would include Mary Allen's 2011 book, Narrative Therapy for Women Experiencing Domestic Violence, which was gifted to me by a fellow EXA student. There's also Sean McNiff's open studio art therapy work, where he references the studio space as a vessel for therapeutic transformation, just as in this presentation I'm putting forth the idea of the sound vessel as this listening and receiving space of the therapist and of the human. Then Lee's 2022 article deepens ties between sound expression, emotion, and the body through the lens of Chinese medicine and the 5 tones that are connected to organs and emotions. And Finley Walsh grounds the experimental sound ethnography work with his own compositions and sound ethnographies, plus postmodern exploration. And finally, Crespo's study from 2025 really highlights the dropouts from trauma-focused treatment for intimate partner violence against women, furthering opportunities to adjust culturally to client realities. What is that context that is limiting folks from being able to attend outside of the therapeutic offerings? Next, I'll have the offering of the sound vessels intervention. So folks are welcome to adapt this to their own sessions. It's really grounded in the ideas of safe space development, as well as body regulation and somatic sensing, and kind of moves the client through this experience, invites them to imagine the safe space as a vehicle, this moving object, this space that they can feel safe in, and one that makes some sort of a vibration or noise that they can be able to call back their attention to remember what it's like to ground, to find that vessel, and to express through sound, which I found this year to be extremely grounding, opening, and processing for a lot of the energy and emotions that I've been feeling through this work. So again, really emphasizing this sound expression aspect of the sound vessel. Client might feel silly making these sounds, but model for them if necessary, humming, whistling, making funny sounds. This could work great with kids if they're interested in making sounds and being silly in session. And also provide some time for the client to write or draw their sound vessel, to explain to the therapist if that's their style, to provide this point of contact for the safe space development and how expression and building the voice is a part of this sort of safety building therapy. Trauma-informed work that provides chances for empowerment and confidence, for vision making about the self, and for playing and being silly to keep the joy in the therapy. I'd also like to mention a few clients and their work in session. Tara is one of my clients who did a lot of trauma processing in session, and Tara mostly described through writing, journal prompts, poems, an unsent letter to her ex-spouse. All these things as we were exploring themes of trauma, trust, and self-empowerment. My client Zoe, therapy was all about defining, communicating, and upholding boundaries, identifying their relational needs. Alonzo worked with visual arts, body sensing, and liked to externalize through names and words his past assumptions in relationship. All clients seem to find their own art practice to enrich session more and more as sessions went on, and my primary way of integration has been through my sound journal. Other expressive arts care practices too, but mostly through this making sounds, regulating the body, finding my voice, and working through my experience in this sonic way. On to the sound journal. My sound journal and the synthesis of this product has been a really long effort, as I recorded entries well into the development of this capstone. From September to March, I entered 47 entries, all of them between 10 seconds to 18 minutes. And I've been able to witness my methodology for self-regulation and care. I've used whistling, humming, singing, instrumentation, speaking, poetry, and all sorts of bodily expressions of sound. In the following slides, I'll present a few examples of my sound journal work, the themes I was able to track, the arc of this journey, and the melody that surfaced in that time. I also find it crucial to mention class work with Stacy Yeldell to open me up to the idea of vocal toning as a practice in this sound journal idea, as well as an anonymous dyad partner from another class practice that ended up flowing into co-writing a song. Feels very pertinent to this journey. So the sound journal themes, I was able to track certain emotions or themes of the recordings, and this might be subjective, but also in listening back, I can remember certain moments, how I might have been feeling or expressing, but it's not always exact or perfect. So while one theme is not exclusive to each recording, nor is the method of sound production, I've tracked the presence of each. What I noticed from the arc of practice changes day to day. Usually a day of themes of acceptance follows one where I was expressing frustration. Next might be a day of social interaction or playfulness after that. So the most present theme was play, with presence in 11 of the 47 recordings, followed by hope with 9, frustration with 8, confidence and acceptance were the lowest with 5 recordings each. There's also feelings of grief and joy. In terms of the method for creating sound, breathing was the most prevalent in each recording with 13 examples. Song, singing with 10, not always with words. Then humming, instrumentation, and talking all came up at 9 examples each. The least common was whistling with 5, but I also whistle all the time. And there are, of course, countless instances this year where I did not record the sounds or the sound practice. Also, in this slide, I'll provide a few short examples of excerpts from my sound journal.
Because, she was experiencing some.
One real gift, a point of crystallization that we can draw from this moment where the sound and the art came together this year has been what I'm calling a found melody. In some senses, folks may know of the found poetry narrative intervention that gathers words, phrases, imagery, or sentences from other works. So in some sense, this melody has arisen from some depths of me, a memory, or maybe it is a original conception of sort. It visits me again and again throughout this practice in moments where I need to rely on it. It really shares a lot of emotions. It has this flow of grounding, this wavering, hopeful melody in some points, and is silly and playful, especially when I can find lyrics or bring words into it. It always comes out a bit differently, maybe a different part of the tune or a slightly different melody, but I'll play what I was able to recreate of this found melody, and also a couple different versions. So thank you for listening. So talking a little bit more about these sound practices alongside other expressive arts practices, it's been quite a year of self-care, as many of us may know, may be intimately familiar with, and these sound practices, as well as painting, drawing, yoga, dancing, having all sorts of different fun and relationship and reading, finding moments of rest, and really finding the intuitive presence for where the energy needs to flow. I've learned how to prioritize myself differently through this past year in relationship, in community, in work, as a therapist, as a non-therapist, in all of these amazing ways. And the sound and these other practices have been so crucial to what it feels like for me to move this energy, to not sit in the intensity and the trauma of the sessions, to move, to celebrate and be there, be present, and then to move through life and transform that energy through myself, through this sound practice, through the music. Has been such a joy, and amazing to witness through the construction of this presentation too. On this slide, I provided a few domestic violence resources, as well as expressive arts therapy projects that might be helpful for survivors of domestic violence. So please use them as feels comfortable. This slide contains my reference pages. And finally, thank you so much, everybody, for engaging with my presentation. for listening to some of these moments in this journey. Really appreciate everybody's influence throughout this process, and I really mean it when I say it wouldn't have been possible. It wouldn't have been the same without every single person in this program and in my life. So I'm very thankful to everybody who's been there to witness me at every step of the way. Sending love to you all. Mm-hmm.